Inside Boxing's Throwdown. My name is Steve Johnson. My co-host, Aurelio Big Time Martinez. All right, folks, we're going to talk about yesterday's fights. We'll start off where we had the WBSS, the World Boxing Super Series tournament that crowned their Cruiserweight Champion yesterday. And Murat Gassiev of Russia, who was 26-0, took on Oleksandr Usyk of the Ukraine, who was only 14-0. But I think most people don't even realize, really, that Usyk was the 2012 Olympic gold medalist from the Ukraine. So once again, even though he's only 14-0, his amateur career is such that he had already shown that he was one of the best in the world. But what an outstanding performance yesterday that actually got Usyk now owns the WBSS Cruiserweight title. He also picked up a check for $10 million.
Whoa.
He also picked up the Muhammad Ali trophy. And he's also now the undisputed, joining Terrence Crawford and Bernard Hopkins and who was the other person? But he joins them as being the only undisputed unified title holders, okay? And now Usyk is the IBF, the WBA, WBC, and WBO World Cruiserweight Champion.
Got it.
He holds all the belts. You watched the fight.
I got to admit that I did watch the fight. It was streamed. I caught a stream, and I was able to watch the fight. And I haven't been able to watch the fights because they're not here and they're not readily available, so you got to kind of search. But you sent me the information. I watched the fight, and I'm going to tell you what, I was very impressed. I was very impressed. It's a good fight. The ring generalship in the ring. The guy has talent. I think I'm with you. I can't argue with you. This guy was the complete package.
He is, man. He's the real deal. And like you said, for a cruiserweight, he weighs in at not 198. The limit is 200. But he and Gassiev both weighed in at 198. But when the fights start, they're around 215. Both of them, big boys. But like you said, you have to be impressive for you. Those of you who haven't seen Oleksandr Usyk, big boy that moves good, throws a solid. He's a southpaw, and that right jab that he throws is like a little jackhammer. Every time Gassiev was making an attempt to come at him, he could keep him off of him. And one of the most impressive things of all is you saw him from round 1 to round 12 look the same. His stamina is awesome. I mean, I don't think anybody could say anything bad about him. And another thing, when they, the weigh-ins now is the popular thing to, say some bad stuff, building up to it. Yeah. Both these guys were totally respectful of each other. Could find that kind of a little bit interesting since one was from Russia and Ukraine. You thought there might be a little bit of, but no, man, they were both very respectful of each other. Afterward, Gassiev gave all the credit to Usyk, said he was the best fighter that he's ever fought, which is something a lot of guys are reluctant to do. But Aurelio, it was a good fight from a great fighter, who now he called out Tony Bellew. I don't know if him and Bellew must have had some issues back when the Olympics. But now he called out Bellew. He said, "Hey, if Bellew doesn't want to, Bellew's from the UK, from the UK. He said, if Bellew doesn't want to come down to cruiserweight, I'll go up to heavyweight." Yeah. So he's letting it be known, man, that he got something. He wants something with Bellew. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it happens. Well, good. Okay. I also want to mention on the undercard down there, he had Cecilia Brækhus, who now she's 36 years old. Remember, she's 33-0. The undisputed welterweight champion for the last 9 years. She's got the IBF, the IBO, the WBA, and WBC world female welterweight titles. All of that. And the only reason I continue to mention that is because, as we talked about last week, we love Layla McCarter to death. But Layla McCarter made a comment, a few weeks ago that Cecilia Brækhus is not the best in the world. She even went as far as saying, if that's the best we got in the world, women's boxing has a long way to go. And she said, I want her, and she won't. Well, we found out this fight went to a purse bid. And Layla McCarter's people did not even submit a bid at all for the purse. So Layla McCarter, until your people, and once again, love you to death, until your people come up with money,
no, you don't.
You can't talk about this. I do love Layla. No, yes, I do.
No, you don't.
She's a friend of mine, and I love her to death. But this is business, and from the business angle, you have to be real.
Well, you got to be real, but they didn't submit a purse bid because they probably couldn't. It takes a lot of money to submit a purse bid. Okay, so if you can't, you can't. So that shouldn't be a reason to keep you out of the big fights, especially when you can go in and compete. Obviously, she can go in and compete. But if she doesn't have the financial backing in her team, well, then it kind of blocks her out, and that's really not fair, you know, because you fall into that where the little promoters and little guys can't compete on the big level because they don't have the $1 million in the bank to do purse bids, and that's another issue. That's the politics of the all these sanctioning organizations, the WBC, the WBA, the WBO, the IBA. They all have these things. So why not just put a fight together and forget about the belt, forget about the first thing? I mean,
that's what you say.
Well, yeah, because
it's not your boxer and it's not you.
Because I'm on the bottom. I'm on the bottom. There's no way I would be able to compete a purse bid with any of our fighters. Okay, I just couldn't because I don't have the money to compete with these guys that have
and you're one of me in that, like
okay?
you said, in that same situation. But until you come up with
so it stops the public from seeing really good fights because the talent that's on this that's down here on this level where we are kind of shielded out. It's a big shield that allows the big organizations to keep that stronghold on the sport.
Well, I disagree with you, but we'll take that up in our third segment. That's a good topic for our open topic. Okay, let's talk real quick about well, we're only going to be able to get one of them in. We'll talk about the other ones in the second segment that we have today. But let's talk about the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas last night, where we had the super featherweight WBA World Super Featherweight title fight. First started off between Alberto Machado and Rafael Mensah. Mensah was from Ghana, and Alberto Machado from Puerto Rico.
Yep.
Okay, and that fight was, like I said, scheduled for 12 rounds. It went 12 rounds. Easy to score a fight for Machado.
It was a shutout.
Yeah, it was a shutout. But he had Mensah in deep trouble early on and never could put him away. Another one of the reasons why I tell you that I don't really like to listen to, just the analysts, but I was listening in this fight. Roy Jones actually had to defend Mensah, from Jim Lampley and from Bubble Eyes.
Bart Simpson.
Yeah, he had to defend him from them because they both started. And then Larry Merchant, Freudian slip. Harold Letterman comes in with his nonsense saying, I don't know what's wrong with...
he's getting old now. He's getting old.
Russell Moore. Why he didn't stop this fight, it's obvious, da-da-da. Roy said, no, man, the dude is undefeated. He's 31-0. And because he's in trouble in this one fight, you want him to end it in one round. Let the man go. And Roy even said, I don't think he's going to come back and win. But look, he went the distance. And if you want to be critical of Machado, he couldn't put him away.
There's a lot to talk about this fight. On Machado's part, I'm very impressed. I like him. I like his style, and I think he's going to go a long way because
he's tall.
And we're getting into where we're getting a lot of these tall, fit fighters coming up into the light, and Machado fits right in there because he actually came in. He outclassed his opponent. He came in there. He was the better fighter. Had the better movement and the better contact, the solid blows. Just like you say, he's up and coming. And you're right. He couldn't put him away. But what you got to understand is this man's never fought a fight that distance. This was his first fight where he went 12 rounds. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure he's had a 10-rounder, maybe one or two. But the bottom line, he was in uncharted waters. And the good part about that, as I see it, is when he did have his opponent in trouble, and really in trouble, where he could have stopped the fight if he had pressed it, he couldn't. Okay, the guy wasn't going to go down. He had enough sense. He had enough sense to back his game back and look forward toward the distance, 10 seconds. we'll just keep going here a little bit, because to back his game up, because obviously he knew he was in the driver's seat. He knew that the guy wasn't going to beat him. He knew he was going to hurt him. So he took it back a step, and he just he continued to fight to win the fight, because he realized this guy wasn't going to go down. Okay, the guy was tough. The guy was tough, that he wasn't going to go down, and I saw that in him, and that's going to be very good. That's a good mentality for a young fighter that's going to come in, and it's going to carry him a long way. He's got the talent to take him.
Okay.
So good.
All right. Well, that's the end of our first segment.
Well, before we go to that, I want to mention to everybody, is it true that the kid from Africa, the
Machado? I mean, Mensah?
Mensah, that he was 30-0 and had never been paid for a fight?
That's what they said. Said that he was, he was signed by Don King. I didn't want to go into that, but you did. But he was never paid, and here was his first chance to get paid.
I heard that, and I just couldn't believe it, that the man was 30-0 and never got a dime.
And don't forget, his daughter just passed away. They said a month or so ago. He was another reason. Like Roy had done his homework on this fight, and Letterman, Max Kellerman, and Jim Lampley didn't really care too much about that. I'm sorry, but I have to agree with Roy. All those factors together, you let the man. If the man gets knocked
fighting
out,
back. I mean, it wasn't like
if the man gets knocked out, he gets knocked out. But I'm like Roy. You don't take that from him, man. He came in with everything. His heart, a heavy heart. All of this on him. You don't take.
And I'll tell you what, I don't always agree with Roy Jones. Very seldom do I agree with him in his commentating, but I do agree when he said you can't expect the referee to stop the fight, because he is not being given a reason to stop the fight.
He's right. Okay? He's right. You're right.
The guy was fighting. The guy was fighting, and you got to give it to him. He was fighting. Now, if he'd have cowered and went back and stopped fighting, then you give a reason to stop the fight.
That's all right.
There was never a reason given to stop the fight.
And like you said, Roy said, if this boy, if he hits him with a good solid one and backs him up, referee stops it. I have no problem with it. But right now, like you said, he fought back. Every time it looked like the young kid Machado was going to come after him, he backed him off. So
yeah, good.
Anyway,
okay.
That's the end of our first segment. We'll be back in our second segment. We're going to talk about the main event there in the Hard Rock Casino in Las Vegas, where we had Jaime Munguia taking on Liam Smith. Munguia is from Mexico, the talk of the town. And we have Liam Smith from the UK, who actually, the feather in his cap is he only had one loss before last night, and that was to Canelo Alvarez.
Good job.
So we'll be back. In the meantime, as we do with every episode of Inside Boxing Throwdown, keep them hands up.
Boy, that was swift, boy. That Cadillac, very black.